Because when you think about all the things we've done, getting the NFL draft to come here.
Yeah, that's big.
First conversation I had with the Roonies was about them getting there. $600 million to reinvest downtown. Change the whole dynamic of downtown.
Yeah.
You don't get a rate of return on an issue. You just get conversation.
Yeah.
But when you change the system to give you a different output, now you talking about how you change the interest.
Man.
You see what I'm saying? And that will make a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, because the people that has dominated this region forever don't look like you and I.
Right. And they have all the interest.
And they have they have all
the interest.
You know, I think that me just learning those is what made me the first Black mayor of the city.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Rich Room. I'm John Bettis. You may not know me now, but after today, you 100% will know me because today I have Pittsburgh royalty in the house. I have Mayor Ed and First Lady Michelle Gainey. Thank you guys for coming out.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I am honored. Yeah. Michelle, thank you very much. And guys, I wanted to bring you out. Ed, we go way back.
Way back.
We go back. And I'm sorry, Mayor, we go way back.
Call me Ed, man.
We go way back. So, and you know, you guys are doing so much for the city, uplifting people and doing all the things necessary for us, man. And I wanted to highlight you because a part of what I do at the Rich Room is I have people come in who will not on camera or in anyone say I'm successful, right? But they are. Whether they're a school teacher, whether they're working in trash, whether they're in energy, I don't care what they do. They're not going to say they're successful.
Correct.
That's my job, right? Mm-hmm. So I have you guys come out and just talk about how you got here. It doesn't matter. Just, I want to know what brought you here, and not here in the Rich Room, but here in life, brought you to this spot and brought you two together. You know what I mean? And highlight some of the great things you're doing for the city, man. So Michelle, ladies first. We gotta start off with you, First Lady.
So, well, first of all, that's a lot, like to respond to. But I think oddly enough, Ed and I met in Arts Bar during
Really?
During the Christmas holiday season.
There's hope for me. There's hope for me.
Yes.
Can we get a towel?
All right, okay.
You know, we met then, and then as we got to know each other, we realized that my mother-in-law had worked for my godfather. We knew a lot of the same people, but he and I had never met. I graduated from Westinghouse. He graduated from Peabody.
I know it's hard.
It's hard to even say the words out my mouth.
I know.
The legendary. Huh?
Yeah, okay. But I think that I tell him jokingly, but you know, God kept us apart until he intended us to meet, so that he knew that separately we were ready, right? And I think that what has drawn us and kept us close is we both have a love of family and community. I did social work, working in workforce development for 25 plus years, and was doing it at the time that we met. And I think it's the thing that has led us to focus on giving. My godfather gave, my godmother gave. Most of the adults in my life were involved, whether it was in church or at school. So, and I lost my mother, my primary parent, my mother, when I was young. My godmother stepped in and finished feeding me. And then when I met my husband, my mother-in-law stepped in. So I've always had some women in and around that gave to me, and I feel the responsibility to give that back.
That's strong.
I think that, you know, workforce development was the way that I did it initially, simply because I could. I had people telling me, and I know that people can't secure and retain employment when they're coming from challenging environments if somebody doesn't take time with them. So I think that's the quick down and dirty of how we met and what connected us. Arts.
I love that, man.
Arts.
I love that.
Growing up, we lived 5 minutes from each other.
Yes.
I used to play with her brothers. I just didn't know her.
And you didn't know, wow.
We lived
I
5
was
minutes.
in the house. I
You were in the house, 5 minutes.
I was
I
a
knew her
quiet
brothers,
one.
you know, but I never knew her.
So now I'm from Detroit, right? So
The D.
that's right. So when I first moved here, I I know everybody where I meet them. I don't know any history. People may be brothers or sisters. I don't know. And I don't know high school, right? So one of the early lessons that I learned is Peabody and Westinghouse. You know, and also the one at Squirrel Hill, Autodice, and the relationship between these and the hatred between these high schools. Because for me, I went to McKenzie, right? So we hated everybody who went to Cody. Now we probably could have went to Cody because it was right down the street. But if you went to Cody, we didn't like you. You know what I mean? So Ed, tell me more about you, man.
Yeah, I grew up in East Liv. Like she said, we met at Arts. But you said something that was deep, that you don't bring people in here to say they're successful.
Yeah.
I like John. I really like that, because I always tell my team all the time, don't go after success, go after growth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As long as you're growing, you're successful.
That's it.
But you can pass the test and flunk the course.
Man.
You know what I mean? So I think growth is important. I think growing up, I never met a politician in my life, so I didn't know no politicians growing up.
Yeah, same here.
I didn't meet no politicians till I got to college. And I think just after I met, Kurt Smoke, and he helped us keep Morgan State at HBCU, that's when I came back and got into community development.
Oh,
yeah, that's when I came back. And then my first campaign I ever worked on in my life was Saludines.
Solid.
Yeah, it was Solid. I went to Solid. I told my mother ended up working for Solid, but I told my mother used to work for Harvey Adams first. Then she went to work for Solid as the office manager, as the executive manager. And I told Solid, I was young then, I said, man, look, I don't want no money. I don't want you to pay me. I just want you to take me around so I can see how this is, how this business works.
Yeah.
And so when Solid used to go to meetings, I would go to meetings with him. And I would just sit there and just watch, see who's who, learn what's what. I just be the spook who sat by the door and just listen. You know what I mean?
Just
soak it up. And so that's how I got started, man.
And Solid was school board, correct?
Nah, this is when he ran for city council. This was the special election.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is when he ran for city council, was the special election, and he won that election.
See, I didn't know he was on city.
Yeah, he was on city council for a while, and that's how I got started.
Man. So now you guys have some initiative, and you have done a great job in promoting Black women. You know what I mean, to positions of authority.
Yeah.
Like why?
Because when the gender inequity report came out that said this was the worst city in America for Black women, I didn't believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that it's a very segregated city. And that because it's segregated, Black women never got a chance. Like every report that comes out about Black Pittsburgh is always we liabilities, never we assets.
Yeah.
And I've never understood how you could have a report. A report is supposed to be based on the strength of a neighborhood, the strength of a community. We never had that. Yeah. Every report we had is, at the end of the day, the Black community is failing like
it's
crazy.
Negative, yeah.
It's all negative, and I'm not a liability at all. John, you're not a liability.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? So when we got,
I'm here by choice.
Come on now.
I'm here by choice.
Come on now. That's what I'm saying. So when we got in positions of power, we focused on making sure that we would put Black women in power, like Sister Gilchrist, first African American woman to run emergency medical service. Yasmin Shaheed, my executive assistant. Lori Criswell, my deputy, my chief of staff is executive assistant. Felicity Williams, first deputy African American mayor in the city of Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Period.
Wow.
Olga George, press secretary.
Yeah.
Sydney Cooper. Yeah, Sydney Cooper, interim director of communications.
I don't want to cut you off, but everybody you named, I need them in the rich room. I need your help. I need your help. I need all of them.
Get them there.
But yeah.
Well, you got Pam Collier. My special assistant. But you got the people. So you got Olga and Yaz. Both of them can get them in.
Good.
Get the whole floor. You know what?
I'm gonna tear Olga's phone up.
But it'd be powerful. Could you imagine if you had Olga from the island, Yaz, a Pam Collier, all sitting around the table just talking?
Man.
Crazy.
No, that's the plan. That's the plan.
That's crazy.
That's the plan. You will see it.
Ain't that crazy?
Man.
Because then they can really tell you about their life journeys of how they got here. And I think it's just a powerful narrative, because when you think about all the things we've done, getting the NFL draft to come here.
Yeah, that's big.
The first conversation I had with the Roonies was about them getting there. $600 million to reinvest downtown, to change the whole dynamic of downtown. First time ever in the city's history that we got 3 Black major prime contractors on construction jobs. Homewood Field is being done by Frederick Douglass. Department of Public Works building in Belle Soufre is being done by Waller. And The person that's doing our comprehensive plan is a Black woman. I can't think of the company's name right now. That's 3. First time in history. 54% of our subcontractors are minorities.
54%.
54%, right. First time ever, one of our pension fund managers is a Black woman named Tina Williams out of Philadelphia. 194 million she's managing. And when we talk about creating a city for all, I can't create a city for all unless we make sure that we diversify the contract.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because up until this point, we've been locked out.
We've been locked out.
We've been locked out.
So when we changed our procurement, we called it Modernization Procurement Initiative. Instead of us being the last to know, we made sure that everybody was on the same page when it came to knowing when the contracts was coming out, with how the contracts was going to be executed. We changed the whole system. See, people think that you get a better output when you change personnel. You don't.
Yeah.
When you change, the system delivers the result that you wanted to get. So when we change the system, we change the result.
It's the system.
It's the system.
Change the system.
Always the system. Once
you can plug and play people.
You can put people whatever you want to. I could put the most, person that don't even understand why minority business is important. As long as they follow on the input into the system,
right,
the output is going to give us what we want.
The output gives it straight.
It's always the system. You got to change systems. If you want to change anything, we had our bridges falling down. I thought we were going to job, Hollow Bridge fell off. We ain't had no more bridges fall down. We don't have no bridges in poor condition. We changed the system.
Yeah.
Started the bridge, bridge program. Made sure we inspected our own bridges, created a system around inspecting our own bridges.
Yes.
Now we don't have no more bridges falling down.
Yeah. Dog, that's solid. That's solid, man. And those are the things that we need to move forward as a city. And not just as Black, because we know that's us, but just as a city, any way to move forward.
Yeah, but you when you do that, that's why we tell people there's a difference between talking about the issues and talking about interests.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about issues. Everybody talks about diversity every single day.
Yeah.
And as long as you're talking about diversity, the powers that got the interest don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We can have academic conversations about diversity all day. When it changes is when you change the interest.
Right.
Because the only thing you get a rate of return on is interest.
Yeah.
You don't get a rate of return on an issue. You just get conversation.
Yeah.
But when you change the system to give you a different output, now you talking about how you change the interest.
Man.
You see what I'm saying? And that will make a lot of people angry, John. I'm gonna be honest. Because the people that has dominated this region forever don't look like you and I.
Right. And they have all the interest.
And they have They have all the
interest. Yeah. Yeah. That's why they don't like it. It makes sense for them. It makes sense. They don't want to change. They want to keep it the same. Man. So even prior to you becoming mayor, man, I've always admired you and the leadership that you display. Like, so where did that come from?
I think just, growing up, man, I come from a single mom. She was a teenager when she had me. So I watched life struggles, but it was really my uncle. You know what I mean? Like, we wasn't born on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah.
We always, we always understood that we had to work twice as hard. Like my uncle was a hustler. Like there's times that he'd have to be to work at 3. He worked for the iron workers. There's times he'd have to be at work at 4 in the morning. He didn't have no car at the time. He'd get up at 3 and walk to Lawrenceville from East Lake just to be able to get on a ride, to be able to go to the job site till he got his car. So, my uncle was always that get up and get down, go get it type of a mentality. So when you grow up in that environment, it rubs off on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in high school, I took school as a joke. Like I never understood the importance of high school education.
Man.
I didn't really get to learn how to be a student until I got to Morgan State. And then I started understanding what it meant to be a student for life.
Yeah.
Because, you think about it, you from the D. How many people you do grew old but didn't grow up?
Man, a lot of them.
Right.
A lot of them.
So, right.
The majority of them,
unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
So you don't want to be that person. You don't want, that's why when I asked you when I came in, like, where'd you get the idea to do this? Like, this is an idea that people talk about, but you made it your interest.
Yeah.
You made it come to life.
I did.
You see what I'm saying? So when you come in here, it's not just like you in a, another recording. Like I actually thought when I seen this, that you was in the back of a bar. Not seriously, like the sports bar and they get little videos with the media and all that. Cause that's what it looked like on TV.
Yeah.
On the video, when you watch it on YouTube or whatever I was watching it on. But when you come in here and see it's in your house, You know what I mean? And the level of detail, like who designed this?
Man, me and my guy Luca.
For real, y'all,
Yeah.
y'all designed it?
We designed it, yeah. It popped out of my dreams, man. The snakes, the alligator skin, the wood trim, you know, it popped out of my head because I knew I needed a place. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know, I feel like sometimes when I'm out, I kind of got a target on my back sometimes. You know what I mean? And we all do. Correct. You know, so it was a way for me to bring it home, to enjoy myself. You know what I mean? Be able to drink. Well, so we got a thing. We drink, we smoke, and we cuss. Yeah. That's what we do here, right? So I wanted to be able to do that in the freedom of my home, man. Yeah. Just be here and do it.
Well, the design is tight, man. The design is tight. So that's what I was saying. That's what I mean about talking about it and being about it. Yeah. I think when you talk about leadership, I never see myself as a manager. Mm-hmm. I always see myself as a leader because you don't always fit in. You always have to be on the outside seeing how the game is played. Yep. And, you know, I think that me just learning those is what made me the first Black mayor of the city. Yeah. You know, and I agree. And it also caught him off guard. Yeah. You know what I mean? It caught him off guard. Because we only 23% of the population. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when you think about it, and when you really think about it, if you take the county, this is a staggering statistic. We're 13% of the population in the county, but we make up 67% of the jail population. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And I didn't want to be that statistic. Yeah. I didn't want to be a statistic that's how they expect us when you come from the other side of the tracks to be that statistic. Mm-hmm. You know, they used to ask me questions like, well, how did you make it out? Same way you made it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But they don't want to see it that way. We got the most diverse administration the city's ever seen. Wow, man, congratulations. And that comes with a lot of scrutiny. Yeah, a lot of hate. Every day. And a lot of hate. A lot of hate. Every day. Man, so just switching gears, First Lady, you are big into the arts. You know what I mean? And I collect art. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, where did your love for art and support for the arts come from?
So I think the first thing you should know is that I myself am not an artist. I make that clear. I can color inside the lines. That's about it. I think when Ed went into office and he asked me if I would decorate his office, Fantasy Zellers who is my partner in the Greater Pittsburgh Arts Project. Yes. Yes. And Rich Room Veteran. Okay. But we were talking about the design and the decoration of his office, and she's actually suggested a rotating art exhibit in his conference room. And I was like, well, let me talk to them and make sure that that's okay. And we did. And initially, we created our first year's calendar to celebrate different themes: Black history, women's history, breast cancer awareness, small business month, student month. And each month, we put art up. We invited the artists down to talk about their road as an artist, to let us know, and by extension, let his administration know some of the things that they themselves as artists see in the city of Pittsburgh, the things that they need support with, because we know, and what I have learned from our artists is that they don't get to push the door in to receive the support. It's not easy for them to get into art galleries here. It is a challenge for them to get funding for quite a few things. So that's what initially we started out. And then just by some news coverage, we had a few organizations reach out, how can we help? And that's when we founded the Greater Pittsburgh Arts Project, so that we could raise money to support artists across the city. We've been invited to exhibit during the Cultural Trust Gallery Crawl. We will be doing our third exhibit at the August Wilson Block Party. We had an exhibit at Denton Cohen and Grigsby. And then certainly in the mayor's office, we were running monthly exhibits in the conference room. And then they get to go into the lobby for an additional month. So that, because not everyone is in his conference room or meeting, but if you're in that building, you have an opportunity to see art. And the ultimate goal is for people to just be able to see that we're no different. Yeah. We all want to have access to affordable housing. We all want to be able to showcase and celebrate the things that are important to us, those things that are culturally celebrated differently, but still celebrated just across different cultures. And I think the more times people have an opportunity to see that, they can see that we are all the same. We all want to be safe. We all want to have access. And the only thing that should separate us are the rivers, and there are bridges to go across that should still allow us to connect.
Like that. That's solid. That's solid. So, and I've reached out to you about an artist, and I guess me and him kind of lost contact, but I want that painting. So I was in the City County building, and I own a number of companies, right? One is a real estate title company. So we come in and get tax certs, we pay taxes, we do all those things. So as I'm walking through, I love the exhibits because when I see it, it triggers me. I love art. And I got into art because of my daughter, and I'll tell you. But so I saw the picture, like, I need this picture. So I lost contact with the guy. I got to pick that. I need your help.
Absolutely.
I need your help. I need that
You
painting.
have to remind me who the artist is, because we keep all their contacts, their preferences for contact. So I can definitely reach out to the artist and then put you two back in touch with
Yeah.
them.
So I am a firm believer in supporting us.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
And
Financially.
believe it or not, we've sold probably, not we, let me make that clear. The city has not sold anything, but people have probably 8 or 9 times reached out. Hey, how do I? And we put them in touch with the artist, and then the artist negotiates their
exactly right.
price,
Yeah.
their delivery, and all we ask is to take a picture.
Take a picture.
Once you have the piece of art in your hand.
Those success stories.
Yes.
Success.
Yes.
And I love taking pictures of me. There's nothing more than I would like a picture with me.
Gotcha.
Plus,
Gotcha.
when you walk into the city county buildings, particularly when it's in the front, it changes your thought process. You know what I mean? Because usually you come into blindness.
Right.
Nothing there, nothing there.
Stoic.
Stoic the whole 9. But I think when you start adding art to it, it gives people a different expression of what it is you're trying to get through.
Yeah.
Art is a way of saying we're here.
It is.
You can see us.
It is.
If you like when my wife used to put all the art in the conference room, and we had them CEOs and presidents come in, they would just boom. They would be so focused on getting to the table, then they would look around because the art was all culturally different.
Yeah.
Like you had African American month, Latino month, woman month, LGBT. You had all that, right?
Yep.
And so when you look around and you see, you start asking yourself, like, what does this picture mean? What does this picture mean? So now you start having it breaks down the tension that's in your head.
Yeah.
Because now you starting to have conversations about different art pieces. And then in the lobby, I just think that when people walk through, it shows them that the world is more diverse than what they think.
Exactly. I love that, man. That's the first thing I noticed. When I saw it, I'm like, I gotta have that.
Yeah.
I gotta have that. That's something. So
Can I just add one more?
Sure.
So I think the other thing is that our artists also tell us about opportunities they have gotten because they've seen the photos. You have organizations, you have hospital systems that have seen artwork on social media and they reach out. And I think the biggest is Mayor of Kingstown is recorded in that building. And they reached out to ask if they could keep the art. There was one piece that had to be taken down, but the artwork is in the background of a scene in the Mayor of Kingston. Now, had we not been doing that, they would have plain walls. So the artists have seen themselves, their artwork on the news in the background for press conferences. So I think it just gives them, has given them some additional exposure, and that exposure has created opportunity for them. And that's the other thing we were hoping to be able to support.
art brings color.
Yes.
It brings color.
It tells a story.
It does.
It tells a story.
So Jerome and I, and you guys know Jerome is my little bitty brother, little bitty, my younger brother, and he and I own companies together in the industry, in energy industry, and more specifically natural gas production. So my thing in that industry, there's not a lot of us in the industry, but it's growing, right? And it's not because we were just completely locked out. It's 30 to 40 miles away from our city centers, right? So I've given us the job of bringing color to energy, you know what I mean? The same as art, you know. So when you come into our office, it would look like the city county building because we have great artists, great art everywhere, and I try to highlight that so that you can break down people, because when guys come in or when people come in, they're focused on business, but the art opens them up. Now they want to talk about it.
It softens their.
It softens them. Yeah. It makes everybody human.
Yeah,
we're all human. We all like the same things.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's big for this city.
Yeah,
because in this city you have to constantly remind people. Like I keep telling people, if the only thing I knew in my life was African American, I'd be shallow.
Yeah,
you couldn't do business, you couldn't do social, you couldn't do nothing. But the more diverse I am in many different ethnic cultures, the more rich I become. You see what I mean? And that's what that's the picture that we try to paint. That's why it's so important that at the end of the day, we had to diversify our contracts. I used to tell people we got to diversify our population in the city like businessmen diversify their portfolio. We got to demonstrate to everybody that this city is welcoming to every single person.
That's dope.
And some of those doors have been closed for too long. You know, even as we talk about reimagining downtown, you know, the fact that we need diverse ownership downtown. You know what I'm saying? We need diverse ownership because that's what's going to bring people downtown. If you only have one, you know, mindset of how we can connect to people, it's not going to bring no one. When young professionals as African American and Latino come here, they want to know, where's my culture at in your city? And it just can't be, you know, we don't have a middle class Black neighborhood. But when you bring Black professionals in here, they didn't grow up like me in the city. Mm-hmm. They might not want to go to arts.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because that ain't how they grew up.
Yeah.
They grew up in DC. Mm-hmm. They grew up in Atlanta. They used to a different experience.
Right.
You got to have that experience here if you want to keep them here.
Yeah.
You know, the only way you got to have them here.
That's the only way. And you know, we had the restaurant Savoy, and
it was powerful.
Very powerful, and it was. We use it as a retention tool to retain talent, the young talent that came in. We made sure we catered to them. Right. And in our plan, you know, I've always wanted to get back in. I don't want to operate, but I definitely want to get back in.
You want to invest.
I want to invest. And there's a void. Yeah. There's a void that we want to fill.
Could you imagine if we had a Savoy downtown?
Man,
I mean, seriously, if we had a Savoy downtown with all these new young professionals coming through here, like they coming through here, looking for a place to go.
City's loaded.
Come on,
loaded.
Hotels is booked back up. The arts and culture shows is booked back up. They need a place where they can have a restaurant / sports bar or bar, just so that they can be able to feel at home. They have that in every city except here. And we had it here.
And we
had it here. Yeah, we had it in the Strip.
Yep.
But I just think that it would have been more powerful
if it was
downtown.
If it was downtown.
You see what I'm saying? Because the Strip was a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it showed that it could make it. But if you want that diverse audience, because you was getting a diverse audience in the Strip.
Yeah.
How much more diverse could it have been if it was downtown?
You know, it's funny, man, because I moved in 2009, working with Chuck, and Chuck Sanders is the brain. He was my partner on this Savoy deal. And when I came in, he said, man, I'm looking at this place. It's down in the Strip district. Being a Steelers fan, coming in town with Jerome, I knew that's where we went to buy merchandise.
Right.
I didn't know anything else about the Strip. We walked and bought the Steelers shirts, you know.
On every corner.
On every corner. He was like, yeah, man, it's in the Strip, but the Strip is everybody's neighborhood. That's why I want to do it there. He said some people are relegated to their own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to the Strip and everybody would come out. And I was like, okay.
And that's how it would have been downtown. Like if you'd have had something, let me think about something. If you'd have had something like across from the August Wilson Center, where they could come out and go over and you got a bar and a restaurant.
Right there.
Right? Then they could go back over to the Arts and August Wilson Center. You getting the flow of that traffic all day.
All day. All the hotels.
All the hotels. You know what I mean? Plus, you had Bettis.
We got to work on that.
You could have a Stiller night down there. You know what I mean? All the players coming in. Because what the city don't have, and I've always said we miss, we don't, in every other city, they got a Stiller's Tavern.
Yeah.
Well, we don't, you had the Crawfords and we had the old Negro leagues here but we don't have nothing that talks about that or restaurants to go into.
Interesting.
All that is money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you got to get the right investors.
Mm-hmm.
People, because you're right, there's a difference between investing and operating.
Yeah, it is.
Investors don't have to operate, they just got to make sure the leadership is in place.
Exactly.
But those are the opportunities we have to really invest in the fabric of the city to make it diverse.
Yes. I love it, man. I love it. Well, listen, I'm committed, man. I'm committed to Pittsburgh. I'm committed to you.
I appreciate that.
I'm committed to you.
Appreciate it.
In anything we can do, I would love to collaborate on some ideas, man. Let's take the Rich Room on the road. Let's go downtown.
Yeah, go downtown. That's what I'm saying.
That's what we need to do.
That's what I'm saying. Downtown and so you got the right move because one, if you could take this to somewhere downtown,
yes,
where you can, you ain't only you could be interviewing who's the movers and shakers in the business community.
Yeah.
So then we can have we never had an African-American interviewing like in a podcast, business people to talk about what opportunities are.
Right. You're right. You're right. I love that. That's where we're going. That's where we listen. I hear you. I accept. I accept.
You see what I'm saying?
I accept. That's where we go.
Because that's what it's about. Like what we lose here is that we're fractured when it comes to communicating.
Yeah.
We don't have an entity that can communicate to the broader Pittsburgh audience.
You're right.
We need that. We still siloed. We don't want to be siloed. We want to be integrated.
We need.
You know what I mean? We don't need communication segregation. We need integration so that everybody know we here.
Man, listen. I am honored, man. I'm honored. My last question: does he listen to anything he's saying?
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Let me get it low.
Let me get a sip.
So listen. I want to take this opportunity to officially. I've done this a million billion times. I want to officially welcome you to the Rich Room.
Hey, man, appreciate it. I love being in the Rich Room, bro. I like this, man.
Yes, thank you very much. Listen, I'm going to have y'all back, and I want to talk business. I want to talk opportunities. I want to talk investing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about you, man.
I appreciate it.
Whatever we got to do, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So listen, hey, Pittsburgh royalty in house. I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss. But you listen, if you don't get something from this, I don't know what you can, man, but you gotta, I don't know, you gotta keep watching.
Yeah.
But listen, check us out. Their information is below. Listen, this is intended to help improve, and empower. We want to motivate you through their stories, and they're real. You can touch them. They're here. Their information is below. Hit them up. Hit us up. Like, share, subscribe. Check out the Rich Room. Welcome. Salute.